Giants Nation, you are here with me. And if you have bled blue for this team for years, you know the feeling, that feeling of watching high hopes just turn into low comedy.
It's a familiar feeling, unfortunately.
We are so done talking about draft potential. We're talking about disciplinary reports. The fact is, the Giants have been eliminated from the playoffs, not by some opposing defense, but by a stunning, unbelievable lack of basic professionalism.
It's more than just fan frustration now. This is an organizational crisis. We've compiled all the source material, the internal notes, the coach comments, even the social media receipts.
I gathered all of them. I compiled every note, every quote, because what we have seen from our supposed franchise cornerstones, Abdul Carter, the number 3 pick, and Malik Nabers, is frankly an embarrassment. Carter is fighting his alarm clock, and Nabers is fighting the Twitter character limit.
And when your highest drafted talent, repeatedly struggles with just showing up on time, it points to a failure that starts way above the coaching staff. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're systemic organizational headaches that just undermine any attempt to build a winning culture.
And frankly, as a Giants fan who has invested way too much emotional capital into this, I have zero confidence that ownership or the general manager, Joe Schoen, has the proper standards in place to fix this.
Well, they haven't so far.
This is a mess they created by failing to vet properly and failing to enforce any kind of real culture.
That lack of accountability from the top, that's exactly what we need to trace. So let's unpack this, starting with Abdul Carter, the generational talent who spent his rookie year making headlines for all the wrong, childish reasons.
Carter was supposed to be the guy, the difference maker. I remember the hype, all the sources calling him Darth Vader, the generational pass rusher stuff.
The hype was real.
We spent the number 3 overall pick on him to anchor the defense for a decade. Instead of talking defensive rookie of the year, we're agonizing over his tardiness report card.
And we really have to emphasize, this is not just a random mistake here and there. The source material shows a clear pattern.
A pattern?
A pattern of lateness and missed obligations that spans the entire year. And it's crucial to note that the previous coaching staff, Daboll's staff, had already fined him multiple times earlier in the season.
And that right there, that's the problem, isn't it?
It points to something bigger, for sure.
If the last regime fined him and the behavior never changed, then Daboll's approach was either too quiet, too passive, or just completely ineffective.
Right.
It just validates what every fan has been screaming, that the culture under Daboll was way too loose. He let these issues just fester.
Absolutely. The fines clearly didn't work. They didn't instill any respect or change his behavior. But the situation really blew up when it spilled into public view with 2 pretty severe benchings under the interim staff.
Okay, let's get into the 2 major incidents that brought this all to light. First up, the Packers game. He missed the critical Friday walkthrough.
And his excuse, according to our sources, he claimed he was in a red light therapy bed for treatment and just somehow missed a schedule change.
A schedule change?
Yeah. Missing that walkthrough is almost unforgivable. That's where all the final prep happens.
The excuse is insulting.
Yeah.
It's insulting to every teammate who did manage to show up. I don't care if you were floating in a sensory deprivation tank. You have a meeting. You are there.
And the consequence was massive.
Benched for the entire first drive against the Packers. The interim staff, to their credit, immediately signaled that the low standards were over.
But then, just a few weeks later, it happens again on Monday Night Football against the Patriots.
On national television, he was late to a special teams meeting.
Unbelievable.
And this is where the immaturity just screams at you. The sources say he tried to rationalize it by claiming he hadn't been on that special teams unit all year. Are you kidding me?
I mean, does that even matter?
As the number 3 pick, you lead by example. You're a professional athlete. If there's a meeting, you are present, ready to work, even if it's just to sit there and listen.
And the price for that tardiness was immediate and painful. He was benched for the entire first quarter. And what happened?
The Patriots marched right down the field.
And took a 17-0 lead, just like that.
That single lack of discipline directly led to a national humiliation and put the whole team in a massive hole. 2 public benchings in 3 games. It's a profound lack of respect for his job, his teammates, the clock.
Everything.
And the most frustrating part, the part that keeps us all up at night, is that this is not about a lack of talent. The frustration is driven by how real his potential is.
Yeah, that's what makes it so much worse.
It makes his behavior even more egregious.
Well, let's put on the nerd glasses for a second and look beyond the box score, because if you only saw his 1.5 sacks, you'd probably assume he was a bust.
Right. The basic numbers don't look great.
But the advanced stats, they reveal the truth. The talent is absolutely undeniable.
Okay, so tell us what the numbers are hiding.
Carter has racked up 44 total pressures this season. That's alongside 11 quarterback hits and 31 hurries. When you look at those disruption numbers, they place him squarely inside the top 20 for edge rushers in the entire league. That kind of burst, that ability to create chaos, it's rare. The physical gifts are absolutely there.
So the equation is simple. The only thing standing between Abdul Carter and being a real defensive cornerstone is a 6 a.m. alarm clock.
It seems that way.
If he ever shows up on time, A&D starts converting those pressures into sacks, opposing offenses have a massive problem. But right now, his behavior is just. It's completely overshadowing an elite level performance.
And this leads us right back to the management critique. If the talent is so obviously real, how did this organizational failure even happen?
And that's where I lose all confidence in Joe Schoen.
Completely.
We knew there were whispers about Carter being hard to manage during the draft process.
Those reports were out there.
So when you spend the number 3 overall pick on a player with known maturity concerns, the GM and the whole organization must have an ironclad structure ready to go to enforce standards from day one.
And they didn't.
The fact that the problem got worse proves its structure was never there. Schoen failed. He failed to give the coaches the standard they needed to manage this top asset.
It also speaks volumes about the lack of internal control when team legends and vets have to step in and publicly call him out.
That moment was devastating. When your veteran leaders, the star DT, the edge rusher, have to go to the media and say a top pick needs to grow up, be a pro, and handle your business, you know the culture is completely rotten.
It shouldn't get to that point.
No. It shouldn't take the players to enforce basic professional conduct.
And then, the ultimate voice of the franchise had to intervene. Lawrence Taylor, LT, is the benchmark.
LT's wisdom was it was piercing. It was a direct address. Wake up. This is what you worked for. Don't let your teammates down over BS. That quote is a direct indictment of the lack of respect Carter has shown for the uniform, for the history of this team, and for the other guys in that locker room.
Right. And before we move on to Nabers, we have to just quickly debunk that absurd rumor that was going around.
Yeah. Oh, God, the Twitter thing.
Yeah, while all this real drama was unfolding, NFL Twitter got obsessed with a totally fake viral rumor about him watching inappropriate content in a meeting.
It was so ridiculous. We have to stress, this was fully debunked. It came from some fake insider account with zero credibility.
Yeah.
But the fact that people believed it just shows the level of chaos and mistrust surrounding this team.
The actual truth being so late you cause a 17-point deficit is honestly bad enough.
Yeah, you don't need to make stuff up.
So now we shift focus to the other star pick causing headaches, Malik Nabers. His problem is completely different, but, maybe just as destructive to team unity.
Right. Carter is failing at attendance. Nabers is failing at having a filter.
Exactly.
The guy is supposed to be the receiver we've been waiting for, but he's just lighting up the timeline with drama while the team needs him focused on getting healthy.
First, unnecessary clarification. Nabers is not practicing due to legitimate, serious injuries.
Right, this is medical.
It's ACL and meniscus rehab, plus toe management. This is not a disciplinary thing. However, his actions off the field show a massive lapse in professionalism and respect.
Let's track the Twitter timeline of destruction, shall we? Back in 2024, after a tough loss to the Bucs, he posted the team was soft as F.
I remember that.
And when he got called on it, he doubled down. No regrets. That already tells you this is a player who puts public venting over team unity.
But the situation got so much more corrosive this year. After the team blew another lead in overtime against the Lions, that 34-27 loss Nabers just went nuclear on social media.
This is where my frustration just boils over. He posted a deleted tweet implying that the coaches were making us lose on purpose.
Yeah, that's a line you just can't cross.
You have a star player sitting on the sideline rehabbing, publicly accusing his coaches of actively tanking the game.
We have to analyze the specific damage that does. A player with that much weight in the franchise, especially one who isn't physically on the field, cannot publicly sow that kind of discord. He's questioning the integrity of the coaching staff. It just poisons the well.
The contrast is so stark, right?
Yeah.
Carter is missing team meetings, showing he doesn't respect his teammates' time.
And Nabers is lighting up the timeline, showing he doesn't respect his coach's integrity or effort.
Both actions show this willingness to put their own personal frustration, their own lack of composure ahead of the team. And it all points back to a vacuum of standard.
A leadership vacuum.
Which brings us to the core issue, and the reason I am so disappointed in the entire leadership. The problem isn't just the players, the problem is the culture. And culture starts at the top. I just do not have confidence in Joe Schoen to fix this, because he's the one who allowed the whole framework to collapse in the first place.
Well, let's analyze the transition in coaching approaches, because it's pretty telling. The former head coach, Brian Daboll, he tried to handle the Carter issue quietly, fines behind the scenes.
And it failed miserably.
It failed entirely. And it validates that fan perception that Daboll just let the players do whatever they wanted as long as they showed up on Sunday. The standard was just too loose.
And the proof that the standard was too loose is that the second the interim staff took over, they immediately went to loud public benchings.
Right.
They were basically playing cleanup duty, trying to install a basic level of professionalism that should have been there on day one.
And this is where we have to critique the front office. Joe Schoen selected a player with known maturity concerns at number 3 overall. When a GM makes that choice, he's accepting the risk.
So his job becomes mitigating that risk.
Exactly, by setting an uncompromising standard of professionalism.
But the evidence shows that standard was never truly established. If the GM and ownership were locked in on accountability, Daboll wouldn't have been able to let it fester, and Carter wouldn't dare miss a meeting.
Which raises the big question you, the listener, have to consider. Is this a player problem, a coach problem, or a top-down culture failure?
It's culture.
I mean, guidance is needed, but ultimately, Carter and Nabers are million-dollar professionals. The organization can't force them to set their alarms or stop them from hitting send on a tweet.
I understand that argument, but the lack of structure here is so obvious. When the organization fails to set a standard from ownership down to Schoen, it signals to these young guys that they can get away with this BS.
It creates an environment where this can happen.
That's why I'm so upset that Schoen still has his job. His job, in part, is to set the professional tone of the building. And by picking high-risk talent and failing to provide the enforcement, he has failed. He has let us, the fans, down.
So the focus has to shift to what management does now. How do they salvage these assets?
So what does this all mean for the future of our 2 cornerstone picks? The talent is too high to just give up, but the behavior is way too toxic to ignore.
For Abdul Carter, the path is brutally clear. He has to stop fighting the smallest requirement of his job, showing up on time, and just channel his undeniable talent.
Just be a pro.
He still has the chance to be a franchise cornerstone, but he has to demonstrate respect for the team through consistent professionalism. The window for being a dumb kid in the New York spotlight has slammed shut. He needs to grow up, now.
And for Malik Nabers,
Yeah.
get healthy. That's number 1. But number 2, he has to realize that as a highly drafted face of the franchise, every word he tweets carries the weight of a leadership statement.
He's not just some guy venting.
No. If he wants respect, he has to show respect, especially to the coaches and teammates who are grinding while he's on the sideline. He needs to grow up and learn to manage his emotions.
And here's the final thought for you, the dedicated fan, to really think about. If your top 2 investments, the players who are supposed to define your next decade, show this level of internal disorder, what standard is the organization truly living by?
That's the question.
The chaos is a mirror reflecting the failure of the management structure. The leadership, from ownership down to Schoen, has to lock in on basic professionalism before they can ask the players to do the same.
Giants Nation, we want to hear from you directly. Who is most to blame here? Is it A, Carter and Nabers for just failing to grow up? B, the coaching staff, past and present, for failing to enforce discipline? Or C, the front office and the culture from the top, led by Joe Schoen, that let all this fester? We'll be watching your comments.
Keep thinking critically about where the rot truly begins in East Rutherford. Just wanted to say a massive thank you for tuning in to Big Blue Tea.
Absolutely. And a huge shout out always to BLKFREEZYTV.
Oh,
For
definitely.
the fantastic programming, the production, everything that makes this possible.
Yep, their work behind the scenes is just really appreciated.
It really is.
This has been Big Blue Tea.